Today we're going to talk about arrays and functions. So what? You want the word longer than one. That's fine. Yeah, that's not necessary, but it is fine. You consider that. Yeah. But the main reason is you like to practice how to compare characters. Right? Yeah, the founding. Right. No. No worries. No worries. All right. Yeah. By the way, in the future, this time, usually doesn't matter. All right. As long as your code can count something, I won't pay attention to that kind of level of detail. The main purpose is you practice the whole process. You upload the file, you upload the screenshot, and you complete the task. Okay. I won't go deeper. So, you didn't consider hyphen, or you didn't consider question mark, whatever. I won't look into that. All right. For this time. Next time, if I will try to be more specific. All right. Yeah. Also, in the future, let's say you submitted once, and later on you want to make some changes to it. You can always resubmit it before the deadline. The system won't prevent you from doing that. Okay, you can submit it as many times as you want. I say please don't do that after I already marked you. Right? I've already marked you. That would be good. Okay, so yeah, so we'll continue as we mentioned last time. The thing missing in C is the string. C don't have a native variable called string, so we typically have to handle string as an array. The other thing we kind of touch base on is how the characters are stored in C. Is actually being stored as an integer, but then be translated through the ASCII code. We're going to talk about a little bit. You have already seen that in your assignment. I have provided you some example how to do that, but today we'll talk a little bit more detailed on that part. Okay, after that, we'll talk about functions as well as like variables inside the function. All right, just like Java, array in C are fixed size. So when you created for the first time, the size of it is being determined. You cannot alter it afterwards. So that's very much like Java. So here is an example. So you start with the type of this variable inside the array, right? Integer in this case, and then you give the name, and then you will decide the size of it in the bracket, which is for 10 integers, right? And the first item is 0. Index of the first item is 0 rather than 1. So last time we had talk about the example where we count amount of certain like symbols or like tabs or that kind of things. This time we also want to count digits, right? So in this particular case, it's more efficient to use an array to store the frequency of the numbers, because we have array of 10. So to each digit in this array will be storing how frequently you see the number 0, number 1, number 2, so on and so forth. Right? So that's the whole idea. So here in this example, we use this array we just looked at earlier, right? So again, each of the number inside will be used to count the corresponding digit. Then we will basically just going to, well, first of all, we will initialize this array to make everything as 0. All right, so again, this is something you need to be careful. Well, there's different way to initialize it. This is a little bit tedious way, but give you the details. So basically, you loop through every single items in the array, and you set them to 0. Okay. If you don't do that, it might cause some problems. Yeah. Then we use a while loop again, which you are very, very familiar with. Basically, you're getting characters until the end of the file. Right? And now we want to determine different scenarios, right? Like we want to determine if the space, if it's a tab, or it's a new line. That's what we have done before. But now we also want to determine if that's a number, right? So this one, again, we have used it in the assignment here, but I want to give you some explanation. So basically, we are compare the input with the character 0 and the character 9. All right, so it should be greater or equal to the 0 and smaller or equal to the 9. So that's between 0 and 9. So that means it's a digit. All right, so this is what I'm trying to tell you, that the character in C is stored as integer. So again, we'll talk about it later here. So if we look at this ASCII character set, so basically it includes a lot of commonly used symbols, including letters and numbers. So if we just open up this page, you can see. So this is the integer value. That's the first column. It's the integer value, and the symbol itself is here. All right, in the symbol column. Well, the first few is not very commonly used, but if you go down, yes, you can see. Okay, start from number 0. So its integer value is 48. All right. So if, let's say, you create a variable as an integer and assign 48 to it, then you print it as a character, you will get number 0. Okay, so it's like a mapping. Okay, so that will give us a very convenient way to decide if a character is a digit or it's other things, right? For example, if it's a digit, it must be greater or equal to 48 or smaller equal than 57. But obviously you don't want to remember those. It's not making any point to remember those. That's why you, instead of writing the number 57, you just write the character 9 in your code that's equal to the integer 57. All right, so anyone can tell me how to determine if a character is a letter? Okay, what's the range of that? Let me just make it smaller so you can see more. Maybe from here, anyone? Sorry? Anyone here? Yeah, 65 to 90, but that's only part of it. Okay, this is uppercase. Yeah, so then we go down, there's lowercase. So you have to do that twice. All right, so it's between 57, so 65 and 90, and also between 97 and 122, right? Again, you don't have to remember this. You just say, okay, instead I compare it to the character only. So you don't have to remember all those numbers, all right? So let's go back here. All right, so let's go back to the code. You can see now we're comparing this new character to the character 0 and the character 9. As long as it's in between or equal, we say that's a digit, right? And then we add 1 to its corresponding number in this array. All right, so let's say if I got number 0, So I have 0 in my C here, right? So character 0 minus character 0, that give me number 0, right? So that's the first index in my array. So that's what I'm using to count how many zeros I have encountered. The same idea, if I have a character 9, I use character 9 minus character 0, I got answer which is 9, which assign the count number to the last one in my array, right? Which is the index 9. Right, so that's the idea. Yeah, again, counting the y, counting other, that's quite straightforward. Then finally, we just print it out. Okay, so print out everything in this array using a for loop. Right here, as you can see, we're going to decide what's the type of the variable is, which has to be integer, right? As the percentage %d will give us the integer number being printed out, as well as other numbers. All right. Any question on this example? No? All right. So here, just basically explain what I'm just telling you. Here is to determine, question. Sorry, the computer is slow. Raise your hand. Oh, if you have any question, just unmute yourself online. Yeah.
Actually, I have a question. Why it is like plus plus and then digit, not I plus plus?
Plus I versus I plus plus.
Yeah, like first there is a plus plus and then there is like n digit. Why not just n digit and then plus plus?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in the future, but you can treat them as the same for now.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. So this is an example of how the Java doing the same thing, which again is very similar. Now, all right. So now let's use that example to do some exercise. Okay. So we're going to count the number of word lengths, right? So let's say you have a paragraph comes in with different words, and you count the length of each word. All right. So let's say one word is 10 letter long, another is 5 or 10, whatever that is. You count how many words will have length of 1, how many words have length of 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. Up